Islam has never faced a fall like the one that it is facing today since its creation in the 7th century AD. This is the biggest fall ever. And today we expose what is going on. Millions are leaving the faith because of this. We are looking at the impact of the internet and the rise of ex-Muslims in the world today. The internet is often called the great disruptor. It tears down information silos and challenges authority. In the context of religion, this means people raised in traditional doctrine can suddenly encounter contrary views at the click of the button. The most affected by the internet are high control groups, or groups that forbid their members to read outside sources and just restrict their members to reading their sacred books. If you are new to this channel, this is Tell Me Dr. K, a channel on which we discuss matters of theological nature, no matter how complex, difficult, or uncomfortable they might be. Because on Tell Me Dr. K, no question, no topic is off limit. Scholar Phil Zuckerman notes that the internet bolsters secularism by exposing believers to critiques they would never see otherwise. In practical terms, a Muslim who Googles a sensitive topic might find the critical YouTube videos online or academic papers alongside religious texts, shaking the old echo chambers. Here's our thesis today. By democratizing knowledge and connecting like-minded doubters, the internet has played a key role in enabling more Muslims to question or abandon their faith and has helped form ex-Muslim platforms worldwide. Historically, Islamic teachings were mediated by religious authorities. Villagers learned the Qurans and the Hadiths from local clerics, and alternative interpretations were rare. Dissent was dangerous. Today, about 33 Muslim countries have laws that criminalize blasphemy or apostasy, even simply expressing your doubts. In roughly a dozen countries, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Pakistan, and others, living Islam can be punished by death. This meant that for centuries, the average Muslim had only access to approved views. Library shelves held devotional books on Islam, and questioning such truths were unthinkable. As the Council of Ex-Muslims of Britain explains, leaving Islam often brings shunning by family and friends. Apostasy isn't just a theological lapse. Under strict interpretation of Sharia, it's a legal offense that invites physical danger. In short, traditional Islam often enforces a tight information control regime. Questions and critiques were suppressed or punished, so only orthodox narratives prevail. I hope you are finding this video insightful, and if you are, kindly do me a favor. Like, subscribe, and smash the notice bell so that when I upload another video, you'll receive a notification. The internet as a catalyst. The internet appends that control by putting alternatives in plain sight. A Muslim who once only discussed Islam at a mosque can now join global conversations. YouTube channels, blogs, Reddit groups, and podcasts expose views to conflict interpretations and often blatant criticism of Islamic doctrine. As Zuckerman observes, if you look up Christianity or Islam on the internet, you'll be immediately exposed to an array of critics or blatant attacks on your own tradition. In short, what once felt like a unified truth now looks contestable. At the same time, the internet lets questioning individuals to find themselves. Zuckerman notes that online forums and social media allow people who may have privately been harboring doubts to connect with others, which encourages or strengthens their secularity. For example, one British ex-Muslim recounts discovering Reddit forum, r ex-Muslim, with thousands of active members sharing stories, advice and memes, almost all anonymously. Suddenly, doubts that felt isolating can be normalized and discussed. YouTube personalities and Twitter activists amplified these voices further, sparking debates that ripple back into Muslim communities. In summary, digital media break Islam's information monopoly. They let users fact-check traditional claims, historical or scientific, review internal scriptural contradictions, and learn about secular worldviews. This exposure often seeds critical thinking. As a psychologist put it, in old days, one's local library only held supportive texts. But today, a web search can be hard to ignore if it lands you critical commentary. In practice, this means that the internet is the catalyst. It amplifies doubts and fosters communities that counter the old gatekeepers. Let's look at statistical trends in apostasy. Recent surveys show that overall, Islam's global share has changed little, but pockets of disaffiliations are emerging. In fact, one study says that there have been more Muslims converting to Christianity in the last 15 years than in the last 15 centuries. The proportion of people converting may be small, but unprecedented, since there are more conversions now to Christianity and even to atheism than ever before. Pew's 2025 study finds essentially no net change worldwide. Muslims were 22.5% of adults in 2010 and remained 22.5% in 2020, with about 0.3% of adults leaving Islam and 0.3% joining. And you have also to understand that the growth of Islam is not mainly by conversion, but by birth, and 0.3% entering during the decade. In other words, conversions into and out of Islam have roughly balanced globally. In the United States, Muslims are a small minority, about 1.7% of the US adults as of 2024. But retention there is lower than almost anywhere else. Pew data shows that 24% of US-born Muslims have left Islam. 1 in 4. Daniel Pipes reported that this amounts to roughly 100,000 American Muslims per year abandoning Islam. Among those who leave, 59% become non-religious and 22% convert to Christianity. The rest follow other paths. Europe's Muslim population has grown overall, most through immigration, but religious switching is a net negative. A Pew study, 2010 to 2016, found about 160,000 more people left Islam than converted to it in Europe. Now, that doesn't sound like a huge number continent-wide, but it is historically notable. Unlike other faiths, Europe's Muslim communities are actually shrinking from conversion. Young generations are especially prone to drift. Middle East and Africa. Official census seldom count are posted, but survey studies hint at significant youth secularization in some countries. For example, Arab Barometer polling in 2018-2019 found that 31% of Tunisians said they were not religious. And among Tunisian 18 to 29-year-olds, the figure was 46%. Libya's figures were 25% overall not religious and 36% of Libyan youth. Other countries were lower, but typically the youngest cohorts were far more likely to identify as non-religious than older ones. Arab Barometer even summarized its recent trends as a decline in religious faith across the Middle East and North Africa. Though note that there has been some rebound in recent crises. We go to Iran. Independent polling shows Iran's religious landscape shifting dramatically. In a 2020 survey of 50,000 Iranians, only 32% identified as Shia Muslims, while 9% said they were atheists, and 6% agnostic, and about 22% chose none, according to Gamma.org. In sum, roughly half of Iranians were not committed Shia, despite an official 98% Muslim demographic. Notably, about 50% reported losing their religion at some point. This dovetails with the massive public defections witnessed in recent protests.
According to Todd Nettleton of the Voice of the Martyrs, the faith option many are choosing is Jesus, with at least 1 million Muslims reportedly leaving Islam for Christianity. How's the regime reacting to this? We've heard 50,000 of 75,000 mosques have closed, and I'm sure they aren't accepting that very well.
This is not something that is making the regime happy, and really in many ways they are seeking to solidify their power and to crush any kind of dissent. And they certainly see the growth of the church, they certainly see Christian evangelism as a form of dissent. We have heard multiple stories this year of a Bible study, a home church being raided. Everyone there is photographed, everyone there is questioned, but then the leader of the meeting is held onto. They are arrested, they are detained, they're put in prison.
Let's look at key demographics. Across studies, apostasy skews young and urban. For example, XMNA's survey of 550 plus North African ex-Muslims found that most left Islam in their 20s, with very few converting after age 40. The EXMNA respondents were mostly first-generation immigrants or their children and overwhelmingly college-educated, suggesting that the new Muslims who grew up in pluralistic society or higher education are more likely to exit. This mirrors global patterns. Modern research consistently shows that religious disaffiliation is highest among young adults. These trends show that Islam remains demographically large. A meaningful minority of Muslims, especially in the West, among young generations, are leaving the faith. I hope you found this expose mind-opening, and if you have, kindly do me a favor, like, subscribe, and smash the notice bell so that when I upload the next video, you will receive a notification. Questions, clarifications, and even criticisms are welcome. Kindly put them in the comments below. For other videos on Islam defections, click on this link.